So, who is today's speaker for the story section?
So today we have a clip sent to us from Aaron from the USA.
네, 에런 씨가 어떤 이야기를 해줄지 뉴스를 어디에서 접하는지 한번 궁금한데요. 한번 들어볼까요?
Aaron 씨,
나와주세요.
When it comes to catching up on the news, I don't have a TV, so instead of that, I have social media networks where I follow news stations and I get clips from what they're doing on that. And I also look up online on search engines. They usually have the headlines for the big events in the world, in East Asia, in the United States, Europe. So I usually follow that. And then I also have apps, news apps by different companies. And I follow the news that they're producing. Usually just politics, international relations are the main things I focus on, the economy, but also just global events. I also see news, interesting news that my friends share on different social networks.
Okay, not too difficult, right?
No, not too difficult.
네.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
네, 그리고 그 중간중간에 나오는 뉴스와 관련된 용어들도 같이 공부를 해보겠습니다. 자, 첫 번째 줄부터 소개해 주시죠.
All right, so the first line is, when it comes to catching up on the news. When it comes to catching up on the news.
네, 뉴스를 catch up on the news, catch up on the news라고 하면은 최신 뉴스를 보는 것을 말하죠. 그래서 뭐 바빠서 못 봤을 때.
Right. So when you catch up on something, it means you didn't know about everything, and then now you're looking at everything or reading everything so that you can be current.
Yeah, I think this is something that I do very often.
Yeah.
Like I can be very busy during the week. 일주일 동안 너무 바빠서 아무것도 뉴스를 확인을 하루에 1분도 못했다. 그러면 그 지난 일주일 동안 어떤 소식이 있었는지 궁금하잖아요. 그럴 때 일주일치를 좀 모아서 설명해주는 그런 뉴스 사이트들도 있더라고요. 가서 지난 일주일간 세계에서 무슨 일이 있었는지 catch up on the news 하는 거죠.
Right. And usually these days, the only things I really catch up on are TV show episodes.
I see.
Because I also don't have a TV at home. Like Aaron will tell you he doesn't a little bit later.
그렇죠.
So I watch a lot of shows online. And so sometimes I get really behind because I'm busy, so I'll catch up and watch all the episodes.
평소에 좋아하는 TV 드라마가 있는데 그 실제로 본방 때 못 본 거예요. 그랬을 때 이제 catch up on the episodes that I missed. 놓친 그 에피소드들을 본다라고 할 때도 catch up on이 되겠고요. 친구들 사이에 오랜만에 못 봤을 때, 오랫동안 못 봤을 때 오랜만에 만나서 we catch up on what we've been up to.
Yeah, what we've been up to, what's been going on in our lives.
네, catch up. 그래서 전화해서 let's meet and catch up. Let's meet. 만나서 catch up. 케첩 먹는 것이 아니고 catch up.
Oh, speaking of that, there's a joke. What did the two tomatoes say after not meeting for so long?
토마토 두 개가 만난 지 오래되었을 때 무슨 이야기를 했냐고요? Let's
catch up.
catch up. 네, 발음이 비슷해요. catchup하고 catch up 하고요. 그래서 밀렸던 것을 보는 거, 그동안에 놓쳤던 것을 보는 것을 말합니다. And
I don't have a TV, so instead of that, I don't have a TV, so instead of that.
최신 뉴스를 보는 것에 있어서 텔레비전이 없기 때문에 so instead of that 무엇을 한다라고 뒤에 말을 해줄 텐데 instead of that, what does he do?
So in the next one we'll find out, but first we have to take a look at the clip.
I have social media networks where I follow news stations. I have social media networks where I follow news stations.
그렇군요. 텔레비전 대신에 이렇게 한다고 했는데 발음이 조금은 빨랐습니다. Alright, let's find out what he said.
Okay. I have social media networks where I follow news stations.
그래서 I have social media networks 이렇게 말하면 저는 가지고 있습니다.
Yeah.
I own them.
I own them all. I'm a billionaire now.
네, 이렇게 오해할 수 있겠죠. That can be a misunderstanding, right?
Right.
네.
But in this case, obviously he doesn't own them, but he's, subscribed to certain social media networks.
네,
Yeah.
he uses them.
He uses them, basically.
사용자 입장에서도 have라고 할 수 있어요.
Yeah.
I have this thing that I use.
You can say I have this service or I use this service. Yeah, they're the
네.
same.
그래서 have가 있다고 해서 가지고 있다라고 생각하시면 안 되겠습니다. I have social media networks where 그런데 social media networks에서 장소처럼 쓰인 거죠. It's used like a place.
Yeah. Because it is like an online place, a platform, and once you go there, there's certain things that you do.
네, 그래서 온라인상의 인터넷상의 공간이라고 볼 수 있겠죠.
That's why you visit sites.
그래서 맞아요.
Yeah.
웹사이트.
Yep.
사이트는 부지, 장소를 가리키는데 웹, 인터넷상의 사이트죠.
A
부지죠.
place online.
That's right. 웹사이트. 그래서 그곳에서 where I follow news stations라고 했는데 where I follow 이 부분도 빠르게
Yeah, it was
지나갔고
really fast.
Yeah.
Where follow news stations.
where follow.
Where follow news stations.
where하고 I 명확하게 입이 움직이진 않아요.
Right.
네,
Where I.
맞아요. 에런 씨뿐만이 아니라 우리가 그냥 이 문장을 좀 자연스럽게 읽고자 한다면 where I follow 이렇게는 하지 않을 것 같아요.
Yeah, it seems a little bit, weird. Where I follow.
Yeah, it seems forced. If you say where I follow, where I follow, where I follow 이렇게 할 것 같고요. news stations. news는 z로 끝나고 station은 s로 끝나지만 발음 일치가 똑같기 때문에 news stations.
News stations.
news stations.
News stations.
이렇게 연음이 됐습니다. 이 부분 다시 확인해 보시죠.
I have social media networks where I follow news stations. I have social media networks where I follow news stations.
Okay, and I get clips from what they are doing on that. And I get clips from what they are doing on that.
단어들이 어렵지 않기 때문에 특히 더 잘 주의하셔야 됩니다. I get clips. Clipping is usually cutting.
Right. So
네.
you can clip your fingernails.
Yeah, nail clipper라고 하죠. 손톱깎이가 이제 nail clipper이고 you can clip the tree branches, right?
Yep. With
네.
a hedge clipper.
hedge clipper. 네. hedge clipper도 소개한 적이 있습니다. 그래서 이렇게 클립하는 것은 다 자르는 것을 말하고요. 이제 가위도 클리퍼라고 할 수 있는데 특정 종류의 가위들. 그런데 video clip이라는 말, audio clip이라는 말이 거기에서 나온 거죠. You have maybe a 1 hour footage and you have clips,
You
5
have
minute clips.
clips of that.
네.
So if you think of an old film from back in the day, you like cut the film and you paste it wherever you need it. So
그렇죠.
clips.
그래서 보통은 비디오 클립이라고 하면은 좀 짧죠. 몇 분 정도. 짧고 뭐 몇 분, 몇 초짜리인데 clips. 그래서 I get clips. 올리는 그들이 올리는 클립들을 보는 건데 from what they are doing on that. 여기서 말하는 마지막에 on that은 뭐죠? On what?
On that, well, from what they're doing on the sites.
That's right.
Yeah.
On the social media. On the social media network, on the website. 거기에서 what they're doing. What they're doing이라는 말은 뉴스 스테이션들이 하는
Yeah.
활동들이죠.
Yep, what they're doing. Or it also could be kind of like what they are doing as in people of the world, since we're talking about news.
네.
Yeah.
그렇기도 한데 my understanding is what they are doing.
Right, the news people.
네, news people, news company people. 이들이 그 소셜 미디어 상에서 하는 활동들 publication 있겠죠. From those publications, I get clips. 한번 본다는 거죠. 어제 있었던 무슨 뭐 사건에 대한 정리 이런 것들도 3분, 4분으로 클립이 오겠죠. So he gets that, he gets those. And what does he also do?
And I also look up online on search engines. And I also look up online on search engines.
그리고 저는 또한 look up online, 인터넷상으로 검색을 해본다는 거죠. 그런데 어디에서? On search engines.
On search
검색
engines.
엔진에서. So he looks up.
Yeah, he looks up. So when we say, look up, that kind of means like 검색하다. Like when you're online and you want to find out information about something, if you don't know a word, you look it up.
That's right. Before meeting you, I looked you up.
Yeah?
Yes.
Before meeting you, I looked you up as well.
네, 서로 검색을 해보고 만났다. I don't know. I didn't really look you up. I think I know.
So you're a liar?
No, I mean it was an example. I knew you
Right.
before I met you.
Right.
그래서 이제 look up 찾아보는 걸 말하고 search engines라고 이제 이야기한 부분에서 우리가 한국에서는 보통 포털 사이트라고 이야기 많이 하잖아요.
Right.
Portal websites.
But we call them search engines. Just sites that you go to, and there's just a bar, and you have to type in whatever you want, and it
That's
brings up
right.
information.
Yeah, the kind of portal websites that we see here in Korea are not so common in, well, outside of Asia, I guess.
Right. They're not that common,
Yeah.
you know, outside.
Yeah.
I only use them now because I live in Korea, and they're easier for searching Korean things and Korean news.
맞아요.
Yeah.
그래서 사실 한국, 뭐 중국, 일본에서는 그런 포털 사이트 형태가 굉장히 흔해요. 가면은 정말 뭐 엄청나게 많은 정보가 일면에 다다다닥 있고 대부분의 사람들이 뉴스를 거기서 접하는 그런 형태가 이쪽 모르겠어요. 한국을 비롯한 여러 나라에서는 흔한데 미국으로 넘어가게 되면은 그런 곳이 없죠. 그냥 원래 가던 뉴스 사이트나 아니면 정말로 소셜 미디어를 통해서 접한다고 합니다.
But on our like search engines too, if you just click news and
Yeah,
the
news
thing,
tab.
yeah, everything will pop up.
That's
yeah.
right. There's a news
tab.
but not the front page.
Not the front. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because on Korean portal websites, the
There's
front
always a
page
front page.
actually, well, curates what people will
What people?
see.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. 자, 그러면 search engine 포털 사이트를 조금 영어식으로 바꾼다면 search engine, 검색 엔진이 되는 거고요. 다음 문장.
They usually have news, the headlines for big events in the world. They usually have news, the headlines for big events in the world.
They라는 것은 바로 앞에 나왔던 search engines.
Search engines.
네, 무엇을 가지고 있냐면 have news, 뉴스를 제공하는데 the headlines for big events in the world. 세상에서 일어나고 있는 큰 사건들에 대한 헤드라인 뉴스를 제공한다고 합니다. headlines 그냥 headlines라고만 해도 headline news하고 똑같은 거죠.
Yeah. You don't have to say headline news.
Yeah.
We usually just say headlines nowadays. Because if
Yeah.
you use headlines with no other context, we all know, it's news.
When something makes the headlines, it makes it to the news, right?
To the news,
Yeah.
right. It's the biggest news story
네,
around.
그래서 make the headlines라는 표현도 있는데 참고로 알아두시면 헤드라인을 만들다가 아니고요. You don't make.
You're not making it.
아니고,
But you make the cuts.
그렇죠.
Like if you're going on a team, you make the team. It means that you're
네.
on the headlines now.
그래서 make the headlines 뭐 어젯밤에 발생한 어떤 사건이 made the headlines 하면은 헤드라인 뉴스로 소개되었습니다라는 뜻입니다.
Right.
But in what areas of the world?
In East Asia, in the United States, Europe.
네.
In East Asia, in the United States, Europe.
big events, 큰 사건들인데 어디에서? in East Asia, 동아시아, 그리고 in the United States, 미국, 유럽 등을 가리키는 거고요. East Asia means Korea, I guess, China, Japan.
Korea, China, Japan.
Yeah, like Singapore.
Yeah. Just the ones over there. Yeah, Singapore would
Yeah,
be
because-
considered too. Just anything like over there, but not too far down.
Yeah, and India is part of Asia.
That's
so
true.
it's not East Asia.
But it's not East Asia,
네.
though. It's not East Asia.
네, 그래서 인도도 사실은 아시아잖아요. 그런데 이제
Right.
많이 아시아가 워낙 넓다 보니까
Yeah.
이렇게 우리 한국에서 흔히 생각하는 아시아 이 근처 나라,
Yeah.
East Asia 이렇게 표현을 하죠. And then moving on.
So on the next one, it's actually quite fast. So let's take a look at the clip.
So I usually follow that.
So
네.
what?
굉장히 빨랐죠. So usually 이렇게 발음이 됐습니다. 한번 자막으로 확인해 볼까요?
So I usually follow that. So I usually follow that.
So I usually 이것도요. 이렇게 또박또박 발음하면 부자연스러워요.
Yeah, it's very unnatural. It's usually, so I usually follow that. So I usually, yeah.
So usually,
Yeah.
so I로 멀리 이렇게 나갔다 오기 힘드니까 so usually 이런 식으로 됐습니다. 그래서 주로 그런 것을 follow, 핵심 문장에서도 오늘 소개했었죠. Follow the news about 뭐뭐뭐. 그래서 꾸준히 본다라는 이야기죠. Alright, let's move on.
So before we move on, let's take a look at it once again.
So I usually follow that.
So let's see what other ways he follows the news.
Okay.
And then I also have apps, news apps by different companies. And then I also have apps, news apps by different companies.
네, 앱들이 있다는 거죠. applications.
Applications.
네, 그래서 앱들을 have apps, 앱들을 가지고 있는 건데 어떤 앱인가 하면 news apps by different companies. 다양한 회사, 서로 다른 다양한 회사들에서 만든 news 앱들이 있다는 거죠. Of course, I think a lot of people have news apps. Do you have some news apps on your phone?
I actually do not have any news apps. I just follow big news channels on social media.
But they, okay, social media.
Yeah. So I follow them on social media, so things pop up in my notifications.
That's right.
But I didn't download their special app.
I see.
Yeah.
Their own apps.
Right.
I do have many news apps in my news folder on my phone. I don't get to use them all the time.
Yeah.
But whenever I want to read up on something, a major story, it's convenient because I can just tap
just
on
click.
the
That's true.
logo.
And it just pops up the
Yes,
biggest stories.
on the main page.
Okay.
All
Maybe
right.
recommend one to me later. I'll
Okay, as I always do.
Yeah.
I got you covered for apps and technology.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 자, 그래서 뉴스 앱들을 보고요. And then?
And I follow the news that they're producing. And I follow the news that they're producing.
그리고 그 회사들이 produce라는 것은 제작하다, 생산해내다라는 거죠. 뉴스를 이제 만드는 거죠. 만들어내는 뉴스를 봅니다. I follow the. 지금 follow가 계속해서 나오고 있어요. You follow the news. 따라와라고 하니까 따라가는 거죠. Alright? And then the next line is
Usually just politics, international relations are the main things I focus on, the economy.
네.
Usually just politics, international relations are the main things I focus on, the economy.
네, 지금 이렇게 나열을 하고 있습니다. 보통 just politics, 그냥 정치 보거나 international relations, 국제관계 are the main things I focus on. 이것들이 정치나 international relations, 국제관계의 뉴스가 are the main things, 주요 항목들입니다. That I focus on, 집중을 여기에 한다는 거죠. He doesn't follow entertainment news, movies 그런 거 아니고요.
Right.
이 두 가지. 그런 다음에 또 하나 추가를 하는 거죠. The economy, maybe.
Yeah, the economy.
네, 경제. 문장 구조가 완벽하게 떨어지진 않지만 지금 떠오르는 대로 말을 하니까 생각을 추가를 하는 거죠. And also,
But also just global events. But also just global events.
국제 뉴스, 글로벌 이벤트라고 하면은 뭐 정말로 행사,
Yeah.
the Olympics 이런 거 아니고요.
Right. It just means things that happened abroad,
네,
basically.
그래서
Yeah.
그냥 국제 뉴스라고 이해하시면 좋을 것 같아요. Global news. And then
And I also see news, interesting news. And I also see news, interesting news.
그리고 뉴스를 봅니다. 흥미로운 뉴스를 본다는 거죠. 어떤 흥미로운 뉴스죠?
That my friends share on different social networks. That my friends share on different social networks.
네, 다양한 또는 여러 소셜 미디어에 친구들이 올리는 뉴스를 본다는 거군요. 정리를 하자면 그 소셜 미디어에 들어가서 뉴스 그 방송국들이 올리는 것도 보고 그 다음에 거기서 또 친구들이 공유하는 것도 본다라는 이야기였습니다. Okay, so that's the end of Aaron's story about where he gets his news, and we're gonna review it, right?
Yes, we're going to listen to it 2 more times. The first time with English subtitles, second time without. Let's watch.
When it comes to catching up on the news, I don't have a TV, so instead of that, I have social media networks where I follow news stations and I get clips from what they're doing on that. And I also look up online on search engines. They usually have the headlines for the big events in the world, in East Asia, in the United States, Europe. So I usually follow that. And then I also have apps, news apps by different companies. And I follow the news that they're producing. Usually just politics, international relations are the main things I focus on, the economy, but also just global events. I also see news, interesting news that my friends share on different social networks. When it comes to catching up on the news, I don't have a TV, so instead of that, I have social media networks where I follow news stations and I get clips from what they're doing on that. And I also look up online on search engines. They usually have the headlines for the big events in the world, in East Asia, in the United States, Europe. So I usually follow that. And then I also have apps, news apps by different companies. And I follow the news that they're producing. Usually just politics, international relations are the main things I focus on, the economy, but also just global events. I also see news, interesting news that my friends share on different social networks.
Alright, that's perfect. 자, 또 재미있는 표현들 몇 가지 배우러 가볼까요?
Okay, it's time for Street
Smart.